All right, here we are. Let's go.
Okay.
I was curious. You had asked me before, and then I was like, wait, stop. Let's hit record because I want to have this conversation of how I found you.
Mhm.
And the answer was Instagram, but I was so disappointed that I wish that I could remember. I've been following you for so long that I wish I could remember the one thing. But I was like, who is this person saying these magical things on a like
Oh,
from a place that I just don't know that it even really existed before?
yeah. I feel like things are starting to show up in this space of
Hmm.
this intersection of body liberation and anti-ageism. I feels like things are starting to percolate, which
Yes.
excites me. Yeah.
It's really exciting to see. So, first of all, I'm going to be very honest with you and with my listener darlings out there. I stayed up till midnight last night playing Mahjong
Oh.
with my girlfriends in the group. And I gotta say, like, I really didn't think that would impact me having just turned 40. I'm not, I'm still feeling pretty spry, but my brain is not firing
Yeah.
as cogently as I would
Yeah.
hope.
Is sleep
So,
really necessary? I don't know. I'm just
yeah.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
But I'm like, I want to make this beautiful point, and I'm not sure how it will come up, but yeah, it's so great to see so many people who watched their mothers, aunts, other women
Mhm. Mhm.
go through these tropes. I was obsessed with the movie. I'm a reference queen, by the way, so I'm probably going to go through a lot of references, but um, The First Wives Club in
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
90s
Mhm.
and Babe, District Attorney, Driving Miss Daisy, Fill Up My
Mm.
Lips, plastic surgery actress of the
Yeah.
Goldie Hawn.
Yeah.
That was instilled in me as, I don't know what year it came out, but like 7 or 8 years old. And
Mm.
that has for so long been it. And it's great to see people who are, more advanced than I am in age say like, hey, you know what? I don't have to go off and be the wise old sage or the driving Miss Daisy. I got a lot more to do,
Mhm.
and I'm going to do it, and you're going to respect me, and you're going to take me seriously.
Yeah.
And it's exciting.
Yeah. Good for you. I am so curious. So to me, when I started talking about all of this, it's been about 6 years since I like really focused on this. I've been working with eating disorders all my career, and just when I turned 60, I pivoted to focus more on this. And I felt like I was literally the only person.
Yes.
And I don't think that's true anymore. But as I have kind of watched this, I am learning that the fear of aging is has gotten a hold of the 20 somethings and the 30 somethings, and that blows my mind. It blows my mind.
It really is. I've seen some
Hmm.
reels of the stuff that people are
Hmm.
doing to their face of like, oh, this
Yes.
is Gen Z and da da da. And I'm like, oh, baby,
Yeah.
you're 22. You are pretty. Like you're pretty by the fact of being 22. What are you doing to your face?
Hmm.
And I want to hold space of like, I don't want to be judgmental of like I've always hated my nose, so I got a nose job or like certain things
Hmm.
about your body and that, but just like if it's coming from a place of it would make me feel more confident and comfortable in myself for mostly for myself. Obviously, we care what other people think, but less of like from that fear-based place.
Right.
Like I can't be older than 22, and therefore what can I do to stop that from happening? Because otherwise my worth goes away.
That's the truth. And I feel myself wanting to get political, so I'm going to pull myself back
You
from
are
the
welcome to
edge.
get political here. That this is definitely, I am not one of those podcasters who, like, I certainly don't want anybody to feel alienated. And I have had these conversations, enough conversations that I think people who disagree with me politically know that I'm coming from a place of curiosity
Mhm.
and inclusion. And I don't know. If you do feel alienated, that is not my intent, but also encourage you to stick around because you might learn something. So please, Deb, speak so freely of the things that you feel are
Okay.
originating some of these situations. It's how we learn.
Well, I feel like we live in a culture that has a very clear hierarchy of bodies. And when you are in a time that it feels unsafe to be in a body that is other than the ideal, and in particular, like white, young, thin, able,
Hmm.
cis, hetero, blah, blah, blah. You know the list.
Hmm.
If you were other than that, it starts to feel unsafe.
Hmm.
So there's more of a push toward being thinner, especially as you get older. Does
Hmm.
that make sense? Because when you develop an identity that is outside of the ideal, therefore marginalized, pushed to the margins,
Hmm.
then it pushes you to feel like you must do what you can to pass as the ideal, and that includes getting thinner.
Hmm.
And not to mention all the other like wellness, culture, longevity messaging that is also lining up with there's a right way and a wrong way to eat,
Yes.
to have a body. Yeah.
Yes.
We got right into that really fast.
But honestly, like that, Deb, this is why I'm so excited. I've just wanted to be able to sit and talk with you. Let's talk about the real stuff. Let's really dive in because, again, that's how we learn and change. And I talk to clients and think about this myself so much of the spectrum of like internal messaging and external messaging, internal core values.
Mhm.
Like, do you actually believe these things because you actually believe that? Or do you believe that
Mhm.
because you grew up learning that, or you saw it on the First Wives Club, or you saw it so and so? And again, I want to be clear, I'm obsessed with the First Wives Club, and I think
Mhm.
everything is problematic in its own way. But like, they do bring it around at the end of like, be yourself and be amazing in this role. And she goes on Broadway. So if you haven't seen it, please go see it. But yes, but that is genuinely how if one person listening to this has this conversation and is like, oh, wait, I don't have to go do XYZ to make somebody else
Mhm.
happy, then that's,
Yeah.
that's why we're here. That's why I have this show. And
Yeah.
it's so exciting. I saw a post recently that was talking about like why ultra thin is in again, and it's talking about kind of an
Mhm.
extinction burst of the patriarchy. And when
Mhm.
women start to rise and we get louder, the system fights back. And it's like, how do we do that? Well, they shrink us,
Mhm.
both our voices and then physically as well, because we
Mhm.
re-implement the idea that stick thin
Right.
is worthy. And you as a dietitian, a nutrition specialist, like the
Mhm.
self-talk that goes into like, well, if you were stronger, you'd be thinner. If you had more self-control, you wouldn't da
Right.
da da. If you went to the gym more, if you had the
Mhm.
the discipline. And it's like some of that
Mhm.
is true. Some of that self-talk, like we do need to give ourselves grace, but we also like do need to push ourselves. Like don't make
Yeah.
excuses, like get out, lift those heavy weights, eat that protein. Yes.
Mhm.
But how much of that is coming because you want to be stronger, because you want to be able to fit into your clothes in a different way, because you want to do that? Or is it because someone told you or everyone has been
Mhm.
showing you that you are
Mhm.
less than in some way because you have the body you have?
Yeah, I many times wonder, I mean, I believe strongly in body autonomy,
Hmm.
and sometimes I wonder if it's real because
Yes.
there's so much internalized diet culture, beauty ideals, all the things that, depending on how early all that started and how oppressive your life has been with those messages, how do you even get to what's yours?
Hmm.
What are your core beliefs and what have you inherited?
Right.
It's just a big question.
And that's a generationally passed down thing as well. And certain people within certain religious, cultural background, doesn't matter where you're from, but like it just makes sense that to people that we comment on your body. And
Especially women, especially
especially
women.
this is the thing too, and not to
Mhm.
well, I'm just gonna talk. Where I have a thinner frame, and people feel like it's okay to talk about my body and tell me if, oh, you look so good after you've had a baby, but I'm like, please don't talk about my body. Like, you're not
Mhm.
entitled to talk about my body or anybody else's body in any other kind of way.
Mhm.
And we feel so entitled to be able to do so. And parents telling them, like, you look fat, you go get on a treadmill. Just like, excuse me, like what messages we're sending to our children
Right.
by saying these things so freely. And then because the people who are raising us or who are our constant touch points of right and wrong and morality and safety, like I'm safe in these many ways, so this must be safe too, that you're telling me I'm too fat and I need to go get on a treadmill
Yeah.
because you said that and you love me. So
hmm
that's
Yeah.
my truth.
Or a mother talking about her own body and the fact
Oh,
that she's
yes.
disgusting and she needs to get on the treadmill.
That is something I'm very lucky that I didn't have that. at a young age, but I hear that so much from people
Hmm. Hmm.
of, I mean, gosh, do you remember? I remember growing up watching like the Slim Fast diet, a shake in the morning, a shake in the afternoon, and a
Yeah.
sensible meal at
Yeah.
night, or the
Hmm.
corn, was it like cornflakes or something, or Special
Special
K?
K. Special K.
Yes, like
Hmm.
a bowl in the mo half a bowl in the morning, a bowl at lunch, and my spouse last week was talking about this, like the 70s Southern living diet. It was
Wow.
like a half a glass of Chardonnay and a cigarette at lunch. Oh no, half a bottle. And then like the other half of Chardonnay, bottle of
Oh,
Chardonnay at dinner while you make your family dinner.
that one slipped past me somehow.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to Google it. I'll Google it while we're
Yes, for
talking
sure. For
because there's a
sure.
breakfast in there somewhere.
What
Um,
I remember about Special K was if you pinch an inch, if you can
yes.
pinch an inch. So
Uh-huh.
this like, of course, you immediately start pinching,
Of course.
which is body checking.
Body checking. Yes.
It's like we learned these very disordered, very unhealthy beliefs,
Hmm.
thoughts, behaviors. Yeah.
Well, that even stretched, we are going to get political. That even stretched into the quarantine and COVID. Well, if they weren't overweight, they blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
Hmm. Yes.
and the idea too that if somebody is in a larger frame, more body fat, like the fact that people feel entitled to have an opinion of what you think is more body fat than a person, air quotes, should have, and we should on each other of like that, how can you possibly be healthy like that? And it's like, you don't know.
No, you can't look at somebody and know anything about their health
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly. I think that's a big thing too. Is what I mean. I literally end this
Mhm.
every day of be curious, not judgmental, and
Do you have that tattoo? Do you? It feels like that should be a
I
tattoo right
really
there.
do feel like I need to get it on a tattoo. I don't. I don't have any words on my body. I just have my whole arm is full of flowers. I have my Harry Potter tattoo right here. Um, but I said like it's so like I feel like we could have so much more
Hmm.
place for space for nuance, generosity,
Yeah.
empathy if instead of immediately going to a place of judgment, we went to a place of curiosity. And then the next question then would be like, and why do you care? It's none of my business. Like if this isn't somebody that you know, like don't comment on that or but even like babies talking about, oh, look at that cute, chunky, fat baby and whatever. And like I know
Hmm.
people that have said like, please don't talk about his body. And then the person like
Hmm.
my parents' generation, not my parents, to be clear, they listen, hi guys. Like but and beyond feel entitled to be able to say those kind of things. And the same as like to say don't talk about my body to somebody, to some people in that group is the same as saying we've stopped, like we don't talk about people's bodies is the same as we've stopped breathing oxygen. Like,
Yeah, because really that's a centering. And I do think women almost kind of trauma bond over this,
sure.
this like hating on our body and lamenting what we did and
Hmm.
didn't eat. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a bonding conversation. And I think it's incredibly boring. I think there's a lot that we could be talking about. And back to your how we get silenced, how we get like how we lose our powers. Like just keep them focused on this impossible goal, and then they won't talk about how they're receiving unequal pay and working too hard and holding up everything.
I mean that's it. That's it. We can be done now. That's
Mhm.
it. Bye y'all. Thanks for showing. But it really is. It's just this distraction piece. And if I'm
Mhm.
more worried
Huge.
about filling in this ideal, fitting this ideal and what that looks like, then I have less space and capacity
Mhm.
accessible to be able to say,
Mhm.
oh, hey, why am I doing the same job and have more experience than Joe over here and getting paid X
Mhm.
less?
And sometimes we want to be distracted though.
Uh-huh. Sure.
Sometimes it helps to like have a little tracking of your calories or whatever going on so you don't have to face some of the things that are not so easy.
Well, that's absolutely correct. And if we can
Hmm.
put that energy there as
Hmm.
well, and that happens a
Hmm.
lot with people too. Like if I'm focusing
Hmm.
on helping everybody else do what they need to get done, I don't have to look internally and see what's going
Hmm.
on in
Hmm.
me because I'm
Hmm.
so busy and distracted.
Yeah.
And that absolutely is the case
Mhm.
for so many people.
Yeah. So it's like happening in the micro and the macro. It's happening within us and around us. It's hard to see it, but once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I
And
mean,
I don't know if you want to talk about like perimenopause
oh, please,
and
please. I've got so I have you're knocking on the door of the people in my listeners for sure. A number of people. I had
yeah.
an episode about perimenopause a couple weeks ago, and
Okay.
yes,
Because it feels like the conversation around perimenopause and menopause and postmenopause and aging, all of that is so focused on blasting our belly fat and like strength training, which is legit. I mean, there's, a grain of truth in all of it, but the over focus on the body control piece is, I think, highly problematic because in my mind, this is a time of great power. It's a time of women having the capacity to see their own power. It can be a time that the veil of what you're cultured, what you've, that's the wrong way to say that, what you've been, what you've learned to be starts to fall away as you enter perimenopause. That's why there's so much anger, in my opinion. I think a lot of women have rage right around in this time. And let's use that as a time to feel empowered instead of like, again, being distracted and over focused on worrying about how our body is changing. Because our bodies are going to change, and that's okay.
yes. But that's the
That's my
thing is that
tagline.
we fear change so much. That's certainly one thing as well. Like this is just one
Hmm.
more thing that's changing and one more thing that doesn't feel
Hmm.
appropriate. And that's how do we stop that from happening and then other changes and all of those things together.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's almost like perimenopause and menopause has become just another time to diet. It's like right after you have a baby, right? The messaging around snap back, get your body back.
Yes. Yes.
It's like my body just made a human. This is the time that I feel my power. Like,
Hmm.
don't distract me. Don't disempower me by making me feel like my body is a problem I need to fix. Again, same thing for perimenopause. To me, it's very much the same.
It is. It is. And
Mhm.
that goes back to the candy wrapper metaphor of it all, where a woman is a candy wrapper and we're all, oh, look at you, look at you, look at you. And then you pop the baby out and we th like the baby is the candy and the woman is the wrapper and we
Mm.
throw her away.
Oh,
And I'm no longer useful. So my best use is to come back and be a supermodel and to feel like I just remember
mm.
um like the supermodel Chrissy Teigen, whom I adore,
Mhm.
after she gave birth to one of her babies, I don't remember which one it was, and she was, wearing a crop top and low-rise denim shorts and had a baby on her hip and was cooking in the kitchen. And I mean, the girl looked fabulous, of course, but like everyone felt so entitled to comment on that and like, look at this
Mhm.
bounce back and look at that flat stomach. And it's like, what about like how cute is this baby? And hey, I wonder what recipe she's cooking. But and like, I'm sure some people
Yeah.
are really rolling their eyes thinking about that now. But like, what if you unrolled your eyes and took a second and stepped back and thought like, what if that was my default thought process when looking at a woman, a picture of a
Yeah.
woman, or looking at a woman? Like, what are you
Right.
thinking? What are you doing? What are you feeling? How are things going? And not look at that body.
Hmm. So, do you think that the only way we can really shift that is with our own thoughts?
I feel like the best way to I mean, it sucks sometimes. I want to hold space for the suck of it all. Like
Hmm.
when I'm having conversations with clients and I have to say, like, well, this is going to require an additional capital outlay for you because X isn't going to, your coworker, your spouse, your partner, your child, whatever.
Hmm.
You can't just tell them to change, otherwise they would have done so already. And
Hmm.
so, what can you change? What can you be looking at differently to be able to
Hmm.
ask the questions that help
Hmm.
spark the change?
Right.
And so, if we're over here beating ourselves up for not being in a certain body ideal or
Hmm.
counting our calories in an unhealthy and maladaptive way to us, and so on and so forth, how can we really help drive the change? And believe me, I'm not over here being the one that's like, oh my gosh, I'm such a beacon for mental health when it comes to my body. I'm not, but like That's why I'm having you on. That's why I'm talking. I
Hmm.
meet with my
Hmm.
therapist. We talk about these
Hmm.
things because
Yeah,
change, I mean, this is not my, like, I don't know how to give this quote to, but like change starts from within.
right. I just feel like these tiny little moments when you notice what you said before about my default is always around appearance. My default is always like check out the body, compare it to my body.
Hmm.
Like, therefore, that's the body hierarchy. Like, is she
Hmm.
higher or lower than me? Where am
Yeah.
I in this ladder? Like, as soon as you start to have a little bit of curiosity around that default, to me, it starts to crack. Every time you notice. That's my favorite thing. It's just like tiny little moments where you go, there it is again. There it is again.
Yes. Well,
Maybe I
that's
can
it.
shift.
That's it.
Yep.
That self-awareness piece or awareness piece.
Hmm.
Again, with
Hmm.
therapy,
Hmm.
self-aware. I tell clients all the
Hmm.
time, we're thinking about making changes.
Right.
That's like
Mhm.
100% because it's like I want you to
Mhm.
notice in the moment that that was your default, that that was the thing that you said, and then I
Mhm.
don't want you to put
Mhm.
too much pressure on yourself to then go
Mhm.
change it. Just like, oh, I just did that. I just
Mhm.
participated in the body
Mhm.
hierarchy. Okay,
Mhm.
good to know. Good to know. Maybe write it down. Maybe jot a journal. Maybe like, oh, today at this thing, and I was doing this time, and da da da, and that was my
Mhm.
thing. And then you can reflect on that next week
Mhm.
with your therapist.
Yep.
But then we're thinking about making those changes, and it's a
Yeah.
slow shift. Those narrow
Mhm.
pathways run deep.
Mhm.
They don't
Mhm.
change overnight.
Mhm.
And being willing to be an active participant in trying to figure out the participation
Mhm.
and the beliefs is the only is I don't want to say the only place to start with all or nothing thinking, but like it really is a great place to have that self-awareness.
Yeah. I think that's where self-compassion lands
Mm.
too. It's like you have to ease up on yourself, and we are all like this. Every single one of us. I've been doing this a long time, and I still hear it bubble up, especially when I'm really tired or I'm really
Mm.
stressed or something
Mm.
hard is happening. My defaults are there for me, right?
Mm.
I got you. I will keep you hypercritical of yourself so that you're distracted again. So just give yourself a little bit of that, like, compassion and carrying it with as much levity as possible. If you can,
Yes.
when you notice and say, there you are again, like, there you are again,
Yes. Yes.
with some giggle would be nice. I
I
just,
am so humor based. I
it
find the
helps. It
best
helps.
things to do. Like I actually literally will encourage a client to write something funny on a post-it note or
Hmm.
like think of a funny song for like what is the thing that'll give
Hmm.
you a chuckle that'll kind of snap
Hmm.
you out of something.
Hmm.
It's not the fix, it's not the cure all, but it's the thing that moves, that shifts the energy, that puts you in a
Yeah.
place to make a different and more informed and more adaptive
Yeah.
decision. Levity
Love
is
it.
so key for me as a person, and anybody who works with me, they'll know. I'll be like, okay, what's fun?
Mhm.
Like, what's the funny thing that we can say right here that like makes
Yeah.
you chuckle and moves?
Because it is funny. I
Yes.
mean, so now I've got like curiosity, compassion, levity. I'm making
Mhm.
a list of the important things for us to carry.
Yes. Well, and I wanted to go back to the compassion one more thing before we move on. I say this in like every other episode, so I want to hold space for that, but it bears repeating every single time because no matter what my topic is, here we
Mhm.
are from
Mhm.
Will Arnett from like 2018, 2019. If beating myself up worked, man, I'd be cured by now.
Right.
And we don't internalize that. And I do, again, there's
Mhm.
something to be said for holding ourselves accountable, having some structures,
Mhm.
pushing ourselves to the next level. If you
Mhm.
don't practice the cello, it's not going to get better.
Mhm.
Do you want to be good enough or do you want to be great? That I do
Mhm.
hold space for some of that. But
Mhm.
again,
Mhm.
that's not the same thing as like you're a piece of poo because you ate that piece of cake at your friend's kid's
Right.
birthday party. It
Right.
doesn't work. And now you
No,
hate
it
yourself.
makes you worse. It makes you want another piece of cake.
And make sure, but that's the thing too, right? The all or nothing and failure of it all. I have
Mhm.
failed at this ideal
Mhm.
structure to get this
Mhm.
ideal body, so I may as well go have three more pieces of cake. And then we just throw in the towel, and it's like this all or nothing. There's no nuance there. The all or nothing. I have failed at my
Mhm.
diet. I have failed at my workout
Mhm.
routine.
Mhm.
So I may as well blow off the rest of the week. And it's like, no. No, but
Yeah.
it's so hard to get ourselves out of that all or nothing thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where your curiosity helps that open things up. So you can see that it's not so like the binary doesn't work. It just keeps us stuck. I
Yes.
wanted to say one thing when you were talking about accountability. I
Yes.
started thinking about something that I say to my clients is you have to have both. You have to have accountability and compassion.
Mm.
So I'm a yoga teacher, and one of my things that I would say when I was teaching, like in our bodies, there's effort, effort, and then there's grace. It's like when you're watching the flight of a bird, they flap, 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 and then glide. It's like you have to have both. You have to have both all the time, or you'll get burnt out. You fall, you drop anchor, you get stuck.
I I need to sit in that for a moment. I'm having a moment. The visualization, the simile of it's like a bird. You
Hmm.
flap, 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 then guide.
Hmm. Hmm.
That I'm using that. I will reference you every time. Like go find Deb, Aging Body Liberation on Instagram. That's who said this.
Yeah,
Because
it's just
it's nice to have like nature references because
hmm
sometimes
and
people
movement.
people
Hmm.
think that we're too woo-woo. People think that we're
Hmm.
too, oh, we're raising a nation of squibs. Oh, da da da. And it's like birds are doing it, y'all.
I mean, it's just the truth. I mean, you know, when you're in yoga and you put effort into something, and then you reap the benefit when you like take a breath of like getting yourself into that particular pose. That's where it happens. Like you start to feel an opening and an expansion, more space is available. And that's to me what happens when you have compassion in your life. It
Hmm.
opens up space,
Hmm.
which
Yes.
feels so good.
It really does. And that's it. Like I just encourage everybody to try something new this week and like try not beating yourself up. Or I guess again, let's go back to the thinking about making changes because if it were easy, you'd already
Mhm.
be doing it. That's my other tattoo that I need.
Yes.
That one and very rarely is any one thing, all one thing. Those are my like I need to get like a neon sign up here behind me and just click them.
You should. You should. You could
They
just
weren't
hold one
expensive.
up.
Yes, yes. If I could just make a little that's it.
Yeah, you could just hold one up.
Okay,
Hmm.
I have I'm actually going to do that. That's fun because I have said that about the neon sign, but it's so expensive. But I can just make myself a
Hmm.
little stick and
You
paper.
could. Here we are again.
Very rarely is any one thing on one thing. You're in your all
Yes.
nothing thinking.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm sorry. I actually forgot where I was going with that because I went off on my tangent. But just the idea of I said if it was easy, you'd already be doing it, and maybe not
Right.
this week, maybe not literally right now as you're thinking this. Like this is the week that you start
Hmm.
thinking about making that change, and
Hmm.
considering what that might look like. But then maybe next week or soon that you spend a week knowing that you can fully go back to exactly what you were doing before, or maybe even a day. I don't know. Talk to your therapist, but however much it feels like for you, spend a day not beating yourself up. Fight, like go, whatever your natural instinct is to decline self-compassion, to not have empathy for yourself. Say, what would it be like if I was empathetic right now? That's what I'm going to do. And then if it didn't work for you, I mean, I hate to hear it, but okay, you go back to what you were doing before. But nothing changes if nothing changes.
Hmm.
And we're so willing to tell a girlfriend or a sibling or somebody that they need a break. They deserve time for
Right.
themselves. They,
Right.
they are, that's what they need. But for us, we're just like, no, not for me. I have to keep doing this.
So this is where the reparenting stuff is, though. I mean, I'm sure you talk a lot about parenting. It's like
Hmm.
giving yourself what you give your children,
Yes.
like giving yourself becoming part of you is becoming loving and compassionate toward yourself. Any little tiny bit, itsy bitsy tiny bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And that's the piece too. Like I think a lot of no, I know a lot of people so we're having these major shifts. We're realizing the relationships that we have had that have served us for so long in so many ways are shifting and they're not serving us in
Hmm.
the same ways. And it's once again,
Hmm.
here we are back to change and change being hard. And some of it
Hmm.
is that we hold on to the things because we're stubborn and we refuse to believe that there's change. And some of it is it's too painful and we struggle
Hmm.
with the idea of grief. I had a client
Sure.
that's literally bless, and they were like, I literally didn't realize you could grieve something unless it was a human who died
Yeah.
until I talked to you. And I
Yeah.
was like, let's say don't say more, say everything. Keep going. Like,
Hmm.
and the idea that like we want to hold on to some of these things, and I hold space for that, and maybe you're not ready to let it go, and that's
Hmm.
okay. But it also
Yeah.
needs that contemplation.
And this is another perimenopause conversation. I mean,
Mhm.
I just cannot say it enough. Your body is supposed to change over time. It's not supposed to stay the same.
Mhm.
Even though that's what we see. We see a lot of AI
Mhm.
slash filter slash,
Yeah.
Photoshop. We don't see bodies
Feels.
as they naturally shift and change over time. We just
Mhm.
don't. And I feel like there is some grief
Mhm.
around the loss of the youth, the body that you might have had. Depending, I mean, it's different for everybody. But
Yeah.
there's a place for grief in that process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
And that's
And
okay too.
it's such a hard, it is hard. That's the thing, right? This is,
Yes.
I'm giving everyone a free therapy session from Meg right now of like the cognitive behavior therapy of it all. Like we acknowledge and name the automatic negative thought. We sit in that suck. We're allowed, like, it does suck. Like, gosh, being a human on this earth sucks a lot. Not always, not
Hmm.
all of it, but it's so hard.
Hmm.
Having a body
Hmm.
is hard.
Yes.
That's like, that is not a full stop because very rarely is anyone think I think, but like, it's hard. So we
Yeah.
sit with that and we allow ourselves to suck, and people want to skip that part, and I respect it. That is me. That is my, like, my brain pattern is absolutely, I just want to, like, I'm a Gemini. I'm learning more about astrology these days, and I just don't want to, I just want to have fun. I'm the enthusiast, all of that, right? And that is the piece that we are skipping. Then we go into making anxiety our friend. Is there anything I can be doing differently about this? Could I be eating more protein? Do I need to be lifting heavier weights? Am I moving my body in a way that's helping me stay flexible and setting me up for the most success moving forward? And having those intentional conversations with your dietitian, with your therapist, with your primary provider, with your
Hmm.
prescriber,
Hmm.
right? And then not through forced positivity, because look at all the work we just did, so much work,
Hmm.
and we gotta let that go.
Yeah. There was a therapist that I shared a lot of clients with early in my career, and she would always say, you're on the monkey bars, and you have to let go of one of the bars to move to the next one. You have to let go in
You are
order to.
crushing today. I'm gonna write that down too. Like monkey bars of it all. Like,
Yeah, you can't,
yes,
you're not gonna be able to go forward into the next chapter if you're stuck holding on. Yeah,
yes.
very real.
And I listened to Amy Poehler on a show recently, and she was talking about how, and I want to be so clear, like it's not like the biological clock officially knows the day, the minute that you turn 40, like, oh,
Hmm.
here it is, June 11th, 12
Hmm.
or 11:59 p.m. and my body stops. But she was saying like your body stops absorbing calcium, or like you get the calcium you have by 40, around 40. And then she was talking about how there are these gyms out in California, and I'm sure they're all over the place for like women in perimenopause and menopause to just lift heavy weights. Like that's the
Hmm.
way to strengthen your bones and operate in your body, and like protein and lifting heavy things, protein and lifting heavy things.
Hmm.
And it's so interesting how that's permeated my brain space. I mean, I turned 40 a couple weeks ago, so like it's permeated my brain space of like, how much protein's in that? How much protein's in that? Which is funny because as a mother of a 4 and almost 6 year old, I'm also constantly talking about protein. Like,
Hmm.
well, if you eat
Hmm.
some more protein, you won't feel hungry later. Protein, protein.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, happy birthday.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was another thing. My spouse had a work event and we went to New Orleans. Is in New Orleans and he's like, come with me. We'll celebrate your 40th. And we were in bed by like 12:30 a.m. And I was like, oh my gosh, 24-year-old Meg living in New York City who chuckled at the sun rising while she was still out partying would get such a kick out of Meg comfortably in bed just after midnight at her 40th birthday. And I'm okay with
Yes.
that. Like,
Yes.
I think. there is a part of me, of course, that wouldn't love a night out at the meat packing and da da da, but like also, oh my gosh, the recovery.
Yeah, the next day. Yeah, the next
Woo!
day.
Yeah.
I am having this, like, I want to go back to something you said,
Oh, please.
and part of me doesn't want to because I know the comments you're going to get.
Uh-oh. Well,
But
we're
you
all here
said
to learn.
something, yep, well, it's highly controversial.
Okay.
You said something like feel like you're a failure when your diet doesn't work or when you don't do the right thing with your diet, when you fail, this sense of failure.
Yes.
I just have to make a very strong statement that is very supported by science
Yes.
that diets don't work.
Oh no, this is not controversial. Please keep go I'm glad you came back and brought it
Well,
up. Yes. I
well,
was that
it's,
my intonation was that way, but I didn't clarify, so please go ahead.
well, I want to make a very strong statement that it's not that you are a failure, it's that diets don't work. And we have huge, strong data that 95% of people regain their weight. And that when you regain the weight, it is like the weight cycling itself is a health risk
That's yes.
that's likely higher than just being at a higher weight.
Yes.
And we don't have strong data that says that being at a higher weight is a health risk. That's controversial
Yes.
because I don't know how far you want me to go down this road,
Run down the road. I'm right next to you. Please.
but the problems are that weight stigma, feeling stigmatized when you go to your healthcare provider is a health risk that's documented.
Mm-hmm.
Experiencing being stigmatized.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stress that you feel is about your body and in your body is a health risk. So you can't differentiate between a person's actual weight and their life experience that includes every time they go to the doctor, they have to hear it and they feel treated differently
Yeah.
or they don't fit comfortably in seats, etc.
Yes.
Now, I know we also have new medications
Yes.
and the conversations around this medication. And
Yeah.
I am not in any way saying that that's a bad thing because I have clients that are having good experiences.
Mm-hmm.
All but one of them have type 2 diabetes and they're using those meds to manage that.
Sure.
And some are losing weight and some aren't,
Mm-hmm. Can we
which
take
is,
a moment for that? I have to admit, this is off the cuff. This is so raw. I don't care about the comment section. I would be devastated if I went on one of those
hmm
to manage my type 2 diabetes and I didn't get
hmm
I'm not going to mention
hmm
any names, but like everyone, when you say those medicines, a famous celebrity comes to your mind.
hmm
Excuse
hmm
me, I would be devastated of
hmm
like, wasn't I also supposed to lose all this weight? That has to be hard. And it's certainly not the goal. The goal was to get your A1C into a manageable place
hmm
that's healthy.
Yep.
But nevertheless, I just wanted to take a space for that because that has to
Yep.
be hard.
Yeah. Well, all of it is hard. And we have to, in my opinion, we have to come to a place which is where we started this conversation that all bodies are worthy and that thinner is not always better and
Yes.
that younger is not always better. And I know that's next to impossible, but we're back to the body hierarchy again, that we value some bodies more than others.
Yes.
And therefore, we value ourselves more
Hmm.
if we lose weight.
Hmm.
And that's where the
Yes.
opportunity is that
Yes.
we can question that.
I am elated that you went back to that because if I in any way didn't make that clear, we've made it crystal clear how you and I both feel now of diets don't work. So I like this. Like, is it a square peg in a round hole? We're beating ourselves up because this isn't working, it's not working, it's not working.
Mhm,
Yeah, because that's not the way that you need to nourish your body. It's
mhm,
not working because it doesn't make sense to you
mhm,
internally, physically, mentally, emotionally.
mhm,
And you keep trying to do it because it worked for somebody else.
mhm.
and you want that thing somebody else has or similar or adjacent. And so
Hmm.
you keep shoving yourself into this round hole and you're a square peg. And it's so upsetting. And you're absolutely right. You think about these these actors who do all of these weight changes for roles, and certainly they're
Hmm.
not hopefully doing them all the time, constantly, consistently. But I'm going to just repeat what you already said. Like studies show how dangerous it is to
Hmm.
fluctuate your body weight. It
Yes.
is, I mean, take a minute and think about that. Like
Hmm.
it is more dangerous to have that your body be like, what's happening, what's happening, what's happening, what's happening, than some
Hmm.
sort of homeostasis that is not the externally approved visual.
Yeah. And I want to take it a step further. I'm sorry, I think I interrupted you. You had something else to say.
No, well, I do, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, people don't understand that two things. We are not wired to lose weight.
Hmm.
Our bodies consider the storage of energy that we have in our warehouse, which is what a fat cell is. It's just
Mhm.
storage of energy that your body likes having because your body doesn't know what the beauty ideal is. Your body thinks this is like just in case I got some storage.
Oh my gosh, you're killing me today in all the best ways. Like I need to pick a different word, but like I'm so happy. Like your body doesn't know what the beauty ideal is.
Mm-mm,
Like everyone just take a second and percolate. Like
mm-mm,
your body does not know what a size
mm-mm,
zero is. Your
mm-mm,
body doesn't know what your body knows is how to get you through the day, how to help you pick up your children, how to help you be able to like all of these other things. And so again, the square peg round hole of it all, of that we just keep trying to force ourselves into these things and like the physical toll and the mental toll
yeah.
that goes into that. We're not wired to lose weight. Now, again,
No.
of course, then you've got people out there who go on the other side of like, well, you're just using it as an excuse to be lazy. And it's like, well, no, because
Mhm.
we've already talked about flap, 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 glide. We've already talked about the flap, 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 glide.
And we're all just different. I mean, we're all so unique. I
Yes.
mean, the number of diets that you've been on alters your metabolism, your genetics alter your metabolism, your diseases that you may have been diagnosed with, medications,
Yes.
age, activity levels, sleep. So many things alter your body's function day in, day out.
Yes.
It's not like a formula like we've been taught this ridiculousness of like math formula. Our bodies are way too smart for that. Way too
Well,
smart.
see, once again, and I think if you can look at it from that perspective of like, my body is too smart from this, it is
Mhm.
not a shortcoming. It is not
Mm.
something that you've done wrong. It is your body trying to tell you something.
You're wired to survive.
Yes.
So when you eat less than your body needs and you feel hungry, your body shifts immediately to protect you from weight loss
Hmm.
because your body perceives weight loss as a threat.
Hmm.
It doesn't know
Yes.
that the culture thinks that weight loss is good.
Yes. Oh my gosh, we're
It's,
losing weight. We're dying.
yeah, all systems down, which
Yes.
is why you feel cold and you feel tired and you feel irritable and you feel anxious and obsessive, which was the other point I was going to make, is that when your body is underfed, your brain is the organ that's affected. Absolutely. And everybody knows that's why we have a word hangry. Like it's real. Your brain shifts and changes when you're undernourished, even a little bit.
Yes.
And I could get really, really into some science if you wouldn't mind.
I would,
Five
again,
minutes?
science it up, please.
5 minutes.
Go ahead.
So there's a study called the Minnesota Starvation Study that was done in the 40s because we had to understand how to best feed people who had been starved in World War II.
Sure.
And These were conscientious objectors who were college-age men who volunteered to be starved and studied. And this is why we only have this database because it's unethical
Wow.
to starve people.
Wow. Yeah.
So we have this huge 9-month database of
Wow.
these college-age men who were fed whatever they wanted and studied and housed and controlled for 3 months. Then they were fed half of their previous intake. They were fed 1,500 calories,
Hmm.
same battery of tests. And then for 3 months, they could once again eat whatever they wanted,
Mm.
same battery of tests. So during the starvation phase, well, I mean, they were fed 1,500 calories. In our culture, like, it's not starvation, but it was half of
When
what
you
they
said
were
that, I was
accustomed
like,
to.
wait, the third one is when they go down to what, 500 calories? Like, because you're right. But that's, yeah, anyway.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
diet culture. That's diet culture. We've
Yes.
all been so exposed to diet culture
Yes.
that we think 1,500, what's the problem here? But it
Yes.
was half of what they had been eating, and they lost a third of their body weight.
Oh.
So the things that they observed were that they had mood swings, they were highly irritable, depression, anxiety, problems with sleep, some psychotic breaks,
Mm-hmm.
lots of like loss of interest, even in sex,
Mm-hmm.
loss of interest in anything.
Mm-hmm.
And they just wanted to be warm, so they would be like in a shower or in the sun. They could not regulate their body temperature without an external source.
Mm-hmm.
And they were, of course, very, very tired.
Yes.
And all of that went away when they were refed.
But is that not the wildest thing of like you when you said all of that, that what just came to me, and I'm not coming for anybody, and she probably doesn't listen to the show anyway, but my friend's mom, stepmom, excuse me, had on her fridge our junior or senior year of high school, doesn't matter. And it said nothing tastes as good as being thin feels.
Yep.
And I remember that very much.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I
Yep.
and I remember that very much. And I was quite thin and but like I was muscular. I'm athletic. I was like,
Hmm.
track and swimming
Hmm.
and anyway. Um, and so I just remember that. I felt sad for her that she felt like that was on the
Hmm.
fridge, like stop yourself from eating.
Yeah.
But it
Hmm.
goes back to this that we are willing. Like some of you are out there, we know this. We know this is
Hmm.
not new necessarily. I mean, the study is
Hmm.
wild, and I had no idea. I'm definitely going to read up on that. But we know that starving ourselves in some kind of way or
Hmm.
malnourishing ourselves in some sort of way leads to irritability, mood
Hmm.
swings, X, Y, Z, da 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 da. We know that, but
Yeah.
nothing tastes as good as thin being thin feels. No
Mm.
mood or whatever
Mm.
is as satisfying as being
Mm.
thin feels. Like I'll be a raging
Mm.
bitch, but at least I look good when I'm walking down the street. And it's like,
Mm.
oh,
Hurts my
your
heart.
priorities, you all.
Hurts my heart.
It is truly, truly heartbreaking. And what I was going to say earlier when you asked if you would cut me off, but I think this is a great place for it to come in again, is like the congratulations that we give to people, that we lavish
Yeah.
upon people. Of I've seen people on my social media like
Hmm.
I like, oh, I've got this weight loss, or this is my before and after, or whatever, and people just are tripping over themselves to congratulate. And certainly there is congratulations in order for certain life changes and this and that. But then we're seeking that external motivation
Hmm.
of
Yeah.
all of that. And we're reinforcing that narrative of like, great. And then I also want you to know if you slip out of that weight, you're going to lose my approval and my appreciation.
Right. Right. And it feels really good. It just, that's a Weight Watcher slogan.
What is?
And that nothing tastes as good as thin feels.
Is it really? Is that
From like,
still one?
no,
Oh, okay.
from the 60s and the
Oh,
70s,
oh,
and
okay,
it's
okay, okay,
old,
okay.
old, old.
I was like,
But it
they're
won't
still
go
preaching
away.
that.
It won't go away. It won't go away. I still hear it. One of my clients said her partner said it to her just yesterday. It was like, it just won't go away.
Taste makes waste. A moment on the lips, forever on the hips. That's
Yeah,
from
all of that.
Friends.
Yeah, all of
I mean,
that.
that's my references from Friends. Well, actually,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, this might be a total tangent if you've got more to share. But the taste makes waste. I Googled the diet.
Hmm.
I want to apologize to the good people at Southern Living. It was Vogue. Um, but it
Mm.
was from like Sex and the Single Girl from Babe Walker in the
Wow.
60s. And so I'll read it here. So the breakfast
Wow.
was a hard-boiled egg, one glass of white wine, dry, preferably Chablis, black coffee. Lunch, two eggs hard-boiled is best, but poached if necessary. So like poached if
Wow.
necessary.
What?
Like I'm already aware that asking you to eat three hard-boiled eggs in the span of X number of hours is asking too much because I've said like you can poach if you like are not strong enough to do just hard boiled. So I'll repeat it again without my editorializing. So two
Wow.
eggs hard boiled is best, but poached if necessary. Two glasses white wine, black coffee. First of all, like what are you all doing for a job? But anyway, well, it's the 60s, so I guess they're not working, right? Because women, not all women didn't work, but a lot of women didn't work. So anyway, and then dinner. 5-ounce steak, grilled with black pepper, lemon juice, remainder of white wine, one bottle allowed per day, and black coffee. That
One
is what
bottle? One
folks
bottle.
suggested. A whole bottle of wine. So don't worry about those calories.
Well, I mean, I think that explains a lot of what I've experienced as a dietitian working with eating disorders for 40 years, is that a lot of people drink their calorie.
Hmm.
It's a very common phenomenon.
Well, it's so true. And my spouse sells wine. So like we call it an
Mhm.
Italian household where like we do
Mhm.
love to have a glass of wine with dinner and maybe a glass of wine after. And we really enjoy that. And especially when he's come home from something and or a new wine that they've got to try. And I'm not saying like don't drink alcohol, certainly to your own, talk to your licensed chemical dependency counselor or whatever your needs are individually.
Mhm.
But again, so it's again not like, well, I have to not consume anything ever and otherwise I'm failing, but yes, that was what was so wild to me, the idea of like a whole bottle of Chablis. I don't know how
And
many off the
that's,
top of my head.
yeah.
I don't have any idea how much sugar is in that from the top of my head, but like
Well, it's a lot of alcohol, I can tell you
alcohol,
that.
well, yes, 750
I
milliliters.
mean, the research on alcohol now is very, very, very strong.
It is. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's toxin. It's a toxin to your brain. And
Yes.
so, I mean, I have been obviously researching best choices to support vital aging. So I'm just here to tell you, you don't want to drink a bottle of champagne. I'm sorry, wine,
Yes.
either one
Yes. Yes.
a day.
No, no. And
Not a good
that's
idea.
exactly right. And so it's just it's so fascinating. Like I want to hold space again, the idea of change and aging and what that means and what that brings to us and whatever period of life you're in. When you're aging, that means people around you are aging. Your children are getting older, your parents are getting older, your loved ones are getting like it's not to say like everyone ages, get over it in a forced positivity kind of way, but being really
Mhm.
intentional about sitting with that, acknowledging
Mhm.
that you're not able to do what you once were or whatever that looks like for you. And then getting into the aging body liberation of it all of this is the body I have, this is the age I am.
Yeah.
Get past the culture and live
Mm.
in the one body. No, literally, I mean, I guess I can't speak for identical twins, but generally speaking,
Yeah.
nobody has the exact same body as you do. So for you to
Yes.
shove yourself into that goes back to, here, I'll say it again, square peg, round hole.
I also think it's a time in your life that I hope you can have some pleasure and
Yes.
like talk about core values. It's a really good time to evaluate how you want to spend this last quarter, last half, last wherever you are in the process.
Yes.
Nobody knows, but
Yes.
I got some ideas. I don't want to be starving.
It's so true. It's
I
so
just don't want to be starving.
I just, I have been there. I want to sit and hold space with every person. I don't espouse myself to be perfect at this. Like I said, I have my own dietitian, I have my own therapist. I'm working through a lot of my own, I have a binge eating disorder, all of that, and how important that is, but also being in a space of you only get to live once. Do
Mhm.
you really genuinely like think about it in reflection when you are, if I may be cheesy, like on your deathbed, are you actually do you think that you'll actually believe that nothing was as enjoyable as being thin feels?
I really, really don't think so.
I
I mean, I know
genuinely don't think so.
I'm biased,
So
but
am I.
I have so many stories are coming to mind. I don't know how much time we have, but
I honestly, I have as much time as you have, and like I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh, I need like a whole other hour, and why, let's just go until you have a hard stop and we got to get out, and I'll figure out, I'll split it into two episodes or something because I'm tucked in.
I had a client many years ago, it's probably been 20 years now, whose mother was a model and a chronic dieter and started her on a diet when she was in the third grade. So that's why she was my client. And her mother was in intensive care at the end of her life. And you know how you have all these machines around you with lots of
Yes.
numbers. And somebody said a number and she heard it. And her last words were, I don't weigh that. I don't weigh that much.
Oh my gosh.
Because she heard this number
Yes.
and that's
Yes.
all, that was just
Yes.
where her, talk about a default thought pattern.
Ooh, you all sink, let that sink in. I hate to hear that for that person. I hate that your
Yeah.
client knows that information. I hope we can all take that of like the answer is that some people really will get to that point. But then the question is, now that you're sitting here with the benefit of hindsight in someone else's story, are you going to participate in that narrative?
Yeah. I mean, that's what motivated this woman to come and work with me was to try to get
I
herself out of that.
I recently this is a reference that's actually too young for me, but we stumbled upon this Nickelodeon show for my kids when we were on vacation, and there's an actor called Jeanette McCurdy, and she wrote the book "I'm Glad My Mom
Yes.
Died." Have you
Yes.
read it?
I have not.
Okay, even just I don't know if it's chapter one or the pre-forward or whatever. I'm listening to it on Audible, so I couldn't tell you like what. It does not matter in the TOC in the table of contents. But she says like all of her siblings were around her mother's coma bed, and one of them was like, "Hey, so my wife's pregnant," and the other one's like, "We're moving back into town," and like they're trying to get her to wake up, right? And they all leave because Jeanette knows she's got it. She's got the one, and she says, "Mommy, I'm 89 pounds. I've done it." And she sits back and like, crosses her feet up on the chair, hands behind head, very much like this is the thing. And because she genuinely was like, if anything's going to wake this woman up, it's going to be this, because this is what we've dreamed
Wow.
of.
Wow.
Now I'll go read the rest of the book. I haven't finished the book, but and
Yeah.
I give all credit, of course, to her and her life experience, and I appreciate her vulnerability in sharing that. But like
Yeah.
that is the thing that we are doing to people, which is literally, I again haven't finished the book, but the book's called "I'm Glad My Mom Died." So like
Yeah.
and again, I'm sure there's nuance to that of like she's actually not, but generally speaking, many of things that got her to the places where she was.
Hmm.
And the idea that like, they were talking about her blood pressure being 150 over something, or I guess if she was dying, it wasn't that high. But anyway, like whatever number it might have been was 150. And she's like, don't ever dare say that I weigh 150. I don't weigh
Yeah.
150. I'm just putting a number out there.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
died.
Yes.
The last thing. So again, coming back to how do you want to spend your time? Do you want to participate in these narratives? I've told this story on the show before, but Deb, I know you haven't heard it. I went to Chicago to speak on a mental health panel, actually at a Harry Potter convention. I'm not ashamed. And it was the same weekend as Lollapalooza. And I saw all of these people out there who do not have, excuse me, um, what we would call, like supermodel, perfect, whatever bodies. They had I don't know. I always want to be corrected or encouraged, so I'm going to use the words, and I'd love for you to help me if that we've got better words for these. But lumps and bumps, and it wasn't all smooth, and they were wearing
Hmm.
these tiny little outfits, and they just looked so confident. And I was just like, "You get it, girls. You get it, Gen Z. Like, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
we would never,
Hmm.
the Oregon Trail millennials. We knew because I went to college in the era of America's Next Top Model. I
Yeah.
didn't watch it, but it was
Mm-hmm.
in the culture, even though we didn't have clips on Instagram and Reels and whatever. We knew that a size 4 model was so brave because she went on America's Next Top Model in such a plus size state. Oh
Oh
my God.
my
I mean,
gosh.
and so it's exciting for me to see
Oof.
some of these younger people who are willing to express their bodies and be in their bodies in ways that don't feel so confining and feel more liberated.
Yeah,
I
I hope
don't
you're
know how
right.
we borrow some of that energy from them, that mindset? How do we make sure that and it's not everybody, certainly in Gen Z. I hear the rest of you out here are like, hi, I'm in Gen Z and da da da.
Hmm.
But I think about that anytime I put something on and I look, a busted can of biscuits is one of the expression that we use back home. Like, oh, this dress is too tight. I look like a busted can of biscuits. And I think about
Mm.
those people running around Chicago for Lollapalooza and their little
Yeah.
G-strings. Like, good, good for you, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what we said before about those tiny little moments when you notice that you're being really judgy and
Hmm.
see if you can just notice,
Hmm.
like, here I am again. I need to expand my definition of beauty.
Yes, yes. Well, and speaking of, so me asking about vernacular and language, are there any words specifically or like phrases or anything that we need to retire when we're talking about aging? Is there anything that
Hmm.
comes to mind?
Well, I am an activist when it comes to anti-ageism.
Hmm.
So I claim my 66-year-old age
Hmm.
and I claim the word old,
Hmm.
just like the fat acceptance movement has
Hmm.
claimed the word fat.
Yes.
I mean, to make it a
Yes.
neutral descriptor, and that's just a state. I have lived on the planet a long time, therefore I am old. That is not something I want. I've earned it. It's
Yes.
not, it's a huge privilege. My very lifetime best friend died 10 years ago of breast cancer.
I'm
It's
so
a
sorry to hear that.
privilege
Yes.
to be 66. And I'm lumpy and bumpy and got spots and wrinkles and all the things you have when you've been around this long.
Yes.
And I
I like what you said about
literally,
being a privilege. It's a privilege to be able to move your body in this way.
yep.
It's a
Hmm.
privilege to make it to 66. And even though 66 is
Hmm.
young insofar as like
Hmm.
so much more life ahead, but also like don't take away me being able to say I'm old or this old or use the word old.
Right. Yeah. My granddaughter has taken to telling me that I'm old lately. She's 5.
Yes.
And I just say, what's wrong with that?
Great. I know, isn't it great? Look at me. Still
I've
here.
been on the planet a long time, therefore I am old. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really important too. I had somebody on once who talked about fat and saying like, no, it's good. Like that's what we need. We
Yeah.
need to say a
Hmm.
neutral descriptor, not a thing to fear,
Right. That's how I feel. Hmm.
a thing to diminish worth, a way to diminish somebody's worth,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Absolutely.
You're being prejudiced against your future self.
Oh my gosh, I love that too. That's great. So what are some things that
Now,
you've
that's
done?
from Tracy Gendron, who
Uh-huh.
wrote, oh my gosh, Ageism Unmasked.
Okay.
Brilliant, small book. I don't know if you have show notes, but I would like to put Tracy's book in there.
I will
Yeah.
do that. I do have show notes and it will absolutely be in there.
Yeah.
Um, yes, I mean, that's so helpful. Well, not to give it all away for free, but what are some of the things that you do encourage, some daily or weekly practices that you recommend, like nurturing a liberated
Yep.
relationship with an aging body?
Yep. I'm a big fan of practices. So these are the things that I tell my clients to play around with because I see it all as like an experiment. You just try this on, kind of like you said before, you just kind of try it and see how it feels to you. It may or may not be helpful.
Hmm.
But noticing when that critical voice is triggered, most of us have the hardest time when we are getting dressed. So to try to stop objectifying yourself, to try to stop looking at your body and to find another way, which is to be in your body, to feel what it's like to be in your body instead of look at your body. And so
Yeah.
the way that I do that is like I get dressed, but I don't look in the mirror.
Hmm.
I walk around, I dance, I bend over, I sit, I move my body in different ways to see how I feel in the clothing before I look in the mirror.
Yes.
I'm not saying don't look in the mirror at all. I'm just saying, can you be in your body first?
Yes.
Can you reorient toward being in your body and then look at your body, not letting looking at your body be where you go all the time.
I mean, that is, you continue to blow my mind today on this conversation because that's exactly it. And that's it, right? Like we're allowed to be uncomfortable in a certain pair of clothes. We're allowed to
Yes.
think that a pair of jeans that fit us a decade ago are no longer comfortable and they don't fit us, but
Mhm.
without judgment. Like,
Yes.
ooh, I
Yep.
can't really sit down in these anymore. Okay, but it's not like, oh, I just don't look good in this. Let me take it off. It's how do you feel? Like you said, bending over, like what are we doing? And reorienting
hmm
that
hmm
mindset, being in your body than rather than what you look
hmm
like.
Well, the problem is the genes, not you.
Yes.
The problem is the genes
Go
don't
get
work
another pair of
anymore.
jeans.
They don't work anymore.
They don't work
It's
anymore.
It doesn't have to mean anything about you.
Yes.
It's like the genes don't work anymore. And
Yes.
that's just, I mean, to get as neutral as possible,
Yes.
to just state what is instead of letting yourself get hooked into having a story about it.
Hmm.
It's a lifelong practice.
Yeah, if it were easy, you'd already be doing
Lifelong
it.
practice.
Let me get my sign. If it were easy, you'd
Yeah,
already be doing it.
yeah,
But again, we got to start somewhere. And we got to start working to retrain those neural pathways.
yeah,
And if it's a lifelong practice, and it can start literally right now of what that
yeah.
feels like for you. And I want to hold space of like, of course, it's a privilege to just be like, go buy more jeans. Like, we're not encouraging
That's
consumerism.
true.
I'm just saying, like,
That's
if you
true.
need a pair of jeans
hmm
for work or whatever you need the jeans for, and
hmm
those jeans aren't working for you anymore,
hmm
that's not
But
a
being
problem. That's a
comfortable.
jeans problem.
Yeah, it's exactly. That's the way I want us to reorient.
Yes.
Is like the goal is for you to create as much comfort and capacity to feel alive and vital in your body. So what does it take to do that? Probably not wearing tight, constrictive clothes.
Absolutely.
I'll speak for myself.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I have ADHD and and other neurodivergence and like tactile texture.
hmm
I just really prefer, I like a nice full beat glam up every so often. I don't have any real opportunities for that anymore, but for the most part, yeah, it's just how do I feel
hmm
comfortable so that I can then,
Right.
because again, the whole point of this conversation, if I'm comfortable, then I can use my brain and my mouth and
hmm
communicate and participate and do the things that I
Right.
want to do
hmm
and not have to worry about what I look like and what I'm wearing and all of
Right.
that, which is tertiary at best. Whereas what I'm saying and
hmm
doing with my body and my life is the key.
Yeah. It's kind of applying what you said before about what people were saying about Christy and having the baby on her hip to you. Like, can't, let's look at how I feel in my life and things I can do in my life instead of looking at body checking what's going on with different body parts.
Yes,
Yeah.
most definitely.
Very
Can
powerful.
can you, you mentioned it earlier and I immediately was like, yes, body check. Would you mind just defining that real quick for anybody who's like,
hmm
I think I understand body checking based on context, but
hmm
just to really clarify.
It's literally checking a particular place on your body
Yes.
to see if you fit, to see if
Yes.
you are assessing yourself
Mm.
to to make sure you are the way you want to be. So
Hmm.
many people have places that they check in when they first wake up in the morning. Before they even get up out of bed, they check certain places.
Yes.
Some people have told me that they did things that were body checking that they didn't realize that's what they were doing until they started thinking,
Well,
oh, that's body checking.
that's
That's
literally
body
why I
check.
wanted you to just define it because I wonder if people,
Yep.
I know for a fact, I'm
Yes.
putting it out there. People are out
Yeah.
there doing it and they don't know what it is and they don't know
Yep.
that it's
Yep.
maladaptive. And so,
Yep. It
hi team,
is.
listen to Auntie Deb.
It's when you're assessing yourself to see if you're okay or not okay, based on your body's appearance.
Yes. The first time I saw that, and I appreciate influencers. I understand go make your coin. I love fashion. I love design. I love sewing.
Mhm.
So I'm not coming for anybody here, but the first time I saw it was one of my favorite gymnasts, and she's just
Mhm.
fashion. She drips fashion. She's amazing, but she's quite thin on the frame. And when she'll put something on and she's showing up, she is body checking constantly. And I saw somebody in the notes be like, you look amazing. We love you. Also, this body checking is like
Mm.
really triggering for a lot of people, which again, like that's not necessarily her. We could go into the complexities of social media and all of that. But I was like, what is body checking? What does that mean? And so then I did some Googling. And now, of course, more in
Mhm.
my own experiences, I've been able to
Yeah.
see that happening. But the importance of knowing like that tick, I don't know, like
Hmm.
that impulse that we have to
Hmm.
remind ourselves that we're not enough, to remind ourselves
Yeah.
like and that and how we can walk away from that. So I wanted to make sure that we really clearly define that so that people can walk around with that of like,
Yeah.
oh, that's what, let's name it, let's claim it, and then let's think about thinking about not doing it anymore.
Yeah. Because basically the underlying conversation that you're having is like, is my body good or bad?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And
And
again,
bodies change through a day.
yes,
I mean,
yes, fact.
did you go to the bathroom? Are
Yes,
you constipated? Did
yes,
you eat a lot of sodium when you went out for Chinese? Are
yes,
you on your menstrual cycle? Lots of things change the way your body feels day in, day out.
yes,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
don't be expecting this containment.
Yes. That's very important too, right? Like going away from the containment. We've talked about
Yeah.
curiosity, compassion, levity, and talking
Hmm.
about embracing change
Yeah. And
and
taking up space.
taking up space. Change
Hmm.
is hard, but we can do hard
Yeah.
things, and
Yes.
we need to embrace it and
Yes.
take up space.
Yep. I say like change is hard. We can do hard things and you're worth it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, we've got so many of these too. Like, and then I go back to like, and you deserve to have a joyful life.
Yes. Pleasure is, in my opinion, part of mental health.
Ugh.
Like, if
Yes.
you don't have pleasure, that's one of the reasons why people binge and break their diets or whatever, fall off the wagon, all the stories.
Yes.
Because you can't go without pleasure, but for so long you get depressed.
Yes. Absolutely. And that
Yeah.
again goes back to, and people consciously, subconsciously, unconsciously, and every mixture of that believe that nothing tastes as good as being thin feels. Nothing, no pleasure is worth giving
Yeah.
it being thin. And it's like, let's try to unpack that. I really encourage anybody who's sitting there listening, if you've made it this far and you still disagree with us, thank you for sticking with us and being
Hmm.
willing to be curious,
Yeah.
and to find either talk to your therapist or find a therapist to try to unpack that, a dietitian.
Hmm.
What is it
Hmm.
that's preventing me from believing that I'm worthy of pleasure,
Yeah.
even at the cost of me not fitting this ideal?
Yeah.
Very important. Okay.
Well said.
Deb, where can
Okay.
everybody find you? It'll be in the show notes, but I like to just have everyone say it too.
Well, my website, which is where you can find all the things that I do, is just my name, Deborah, Debra, Benfield.com. On social media, it's Aging Body Liberation. So either one of those places.
Amazing. I
Yeah.
seriously feel like I could talk to you for another 2, 3, 7 hours. So I just
There's a
appreciate
lot to talk about.
there is, and it's so important. It's so, so important. Like I said, I recently had somebody on about talking about perimenopause, and she specializes in perinatal mental health. And like
Mhm.
she and her partner are now in the perimenopause, menopause era and like
Mhm.
aging through that and
Mhm.
being going from like the postpartum to perimenopause and perinatal era, right, to perimenopause. And then
Yeah.
now taking that beyond again, like what if we could stop being afraid of these changes? What if we allowed ourselves
Mhm.
to Google things or ask our providers for information so we were educated, so we don't have to
Yeah.
sit
Yeah.
and wonder in ignorance, but know what's going on, do something or not do something because rest is productive and everything
Mhm.
in between. So I appreciate you so much like
Yes.
letting me get into this space today, and I
Yes.
hope we can maybe have another one soon.
Yes. Delightful to talk with you. Just really fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much, everybody out there. Thank you for hanging out with us. I know this was a long one today, but I don't know. When I listen to podcasts, I love when it's like, oh, a long one today. Yeah, I got time. So remember, as always, be curious, not judgmental, and we'll see you next time back on the Perinatal Podcast.